Some weeks back, car enthusiasts, especially vintage car owners and collectors, were aghast to find out that an AO or administrative order had been released by the LTO, which practically prohibited them from using their valuable vehicles except for specific purposes. The said AO was recalled temporarily after a big haul of protest was lodged in social media. This week on Motoring Today's Motoring Forum, we have invited Gus Lagman, the president of the AAP or the Automobile Association Philippines, for his comments and reaction regarding this unexpected development. Good afternoon, Gus, and welcome once again to Motoring Today.
Good afternoon, Boots, and to all the viewers of Motoring Today.
Tell us, Gus, what exactly in the AO in question caused a nightmare among vintage car owners?
I had a conversation with Ase Cabrera, and apparently he had a meeting with vintage car owners, and all that he was insisting on was that they register their vehicles, which I think they should. In other words, if they register their cars, then they can use it all 7 days of the week. It's not very clear to me where the conflict is. Of course, I understand that they have recalled the AO anyway. Yeah. But that's what he told me, that they should register their cars. In other words, the vintage car owners may not have registered their cars, and obviously they won't be able to use those vehicles, whether vintage or new, on our streets and our roads.
What do you think is the reason or logic behind the AO?
I don't really know where that came from, but all that Ase Cabrera told me was that he had a meeting with the vintage car owners, and all that he's asking them is to register their cars. And I agree with him when he says that if they're not registered, then they should be on our roads. But apparently, he's also saying that if they're registered, then they can use it any day of the week. On the other hand, I also agree with vintage car owners that if they register their cars, then and if they can only use the cars during weekends, then they should pay a lower registration fee. Tama naman, no? I mean, if they can only use it 2 days a week, then they should only pay for 2/7 of the registration fee that LTO charges. But apparently, that's not the story. As per my conversation with Ase Cabrera.
I understand the qualified prohibition to use vehicles that are considered as vintage, meaning 40 years old or more, in the AO was limited to private vehicles only and does not apply to public utility vehicles. Would you know the logic behind this discrimination or its justification?
There should be no discrimination. I don't know the logic because I was not involved in the crafting of that AO, so I don't know what logic they're following. But it is unfair. If there's going to be that kind of ruling, it should affect both private and public vehicles. Otherwise, there's no reason for discriminating against private cars.
What is the stand of the AAP regarding the AO in question?
Well, our position is that as long as the vehicles are registered, then they should be able to use our roads and our streets. I mean, that's the simple logic, no? I paid, therefore I can use that registration, including the road users charge. You cannot collect the money from me, from a private vehicle owner, if you will not allow me to use the roads all 7 days a week. That's fair.
If ever there is a need for a ruling regarding vintage vehicles, how would the AAP suggest it should be?
Well, only that they should be in good running condition because they might be a traffic hazard. But if they're in good running condition, and many of them are, the reason they're still around is that they are very well taken care of. They are very well maintained. So that's the only condition I would think. If they're in good running condition and they paid their registration fees and road users charge, then they should be allowed to use our roads.
Thank you for guesting once again here on Motoring Today, Gus. Before we let you go, any message to our viewers relevant to the issue we just discussed?
Well, all I can say is that it's good for our motorists to air their reaction to whatever ruling the government might come up with, because otherwise then it becomes de facto, no? And we shouldn't allow that. I mean, if a ruling, a law is wrong, then we should voice out our reaction to it. That's very important. That's what democracy is all about. That we should be able to freely give our opinion and be able to react to government rulings. No?
Thank you once again, Gus.
Well, thank you, Boots, and happy motoring.
AAP President and IT expert Gus Lagman with his insights into the temporarily aborted LTO administrative order on the limited use of vintage vehicles. This week's guest on Motoring Today's Motoring Forum.